You and your kids can get fresh fruits and vegetables at your nearest farmer's market. Use your coupons. Take the food home and we'll show you how to prepare recipes that are easy, low cost, and healthy.
Here's a good one. Foresight.
One of the best things about a farmer's market is the variety of fruit that you could find. And the nice thing is that you know it's fresh. These farmers come directly from their farms to sell the food here at the Green Market. You could find 6, 8 different kinds of apples and choose the one that you like the best. What do they taste like?
It's a late picking apple, they're hard, and they got a wonderful flavor.
All right, thank you. Apples are delicious eaten raw or when prepared in a recipe. Today, I'm going to prepare an apple cinnamon wrap and roll and also a crunchy apple and cheddar salad. After you bring the apples home from the farmer's market, you can store them either on the counter or in the refrigerator. Remember, before you use apples, always wash them under cold running water. Let's make the apple cinnamon wrap and roll.
I always like to get out all my ingredients and utensils before I start cooking.
I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of sugar with 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to stir that all around. I have a 1/3 cup of vanilla low-fat yogurt, 2 apples, and I'm going to go ahead and chop these apples. Yeah, protect the tips of your fingers when you're cutting. Okay. I'm going to take my fingers and just dip them into a little bit of oil and then spread some oil on the outside of the tortilla. Take the cinnamon sugar mixture, just coat the outside. I'm going to flip it over, and you'll find the oil will let the cinnamon sugar stick to the tortilla. Now I'm going to take some of my apple yogurt mixture, and I'm going to place it on just one side of the tortilla. And now I'm going to just fold it in half.
Make sure that the pan is hot.
And as soon as the tortilla gets placed in the pan, you'll immediately start to smell the sugar and the cinnamon, and the whole kitchen's going to smell great. People will start poking their heads in to find out what's going on because it smells so good. Flip it over. Oh, look at that.
Yvonne and her daughter Jackie tried and liked the apple cinnamon wrap and roll recipe.
Apple cinnamon wrap and roll. This one? Okay. Good job. Okay, put that in there. Dump it in there. Now stir it up. Stir it up. There. Smells good. There.
Let's make the crunchy apple and cheddar salad now. I have 2 tablespoons of ketchup. I have a 1/4 cup of light mayonnaise. 1 cup of chopped celery. A 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. And you can mix all of that together. This recipe takes 2 cups of chopped apple. It could take 2 medium apples, 1 large apple. It really depends upon the size of the apple. I'm going to use 1 large apple. First thing I do is I make a little base on the apple, and now you can see that it's not going to move on you. I chop my apples last because when you cut apples, if you keep them out sitting on the counter, they will start to turn brown. So I like to chop the apples last and then add them into the salad. Okay, there we have it, a crunchy apple cheddar salad.
Try it with raisins. Make it into a sandwich. Some other ideas for using fresh apples are apples with cheese and peanut butter, apples in your oatmeal, and apple pancakes. So come to the farmer's market. Use your coupons to buy apples at a great value. It's easy and healthy.
When you go to the farmer's market, don't forget to buy some potatoes.
Bring the kids. They can help you pick them out.
6.
They last a long time. This is one food that you don't need to eat right away. I'm going to make roasted potatoes and scalloped potatoes today with the potatoes that we got from the farmer's market.
After getting out everything I'll need, I'm going to preheat my oven
To 450 degrees. Now I'm going to prepare the cookie sheet.
To get the potatoes ready, I'm going to rub off the extra dirt and then peel them.
Now I'm just going to rinse the potatoes. There.
I'll chop them into bite-sized pieces. Now, stir 2 teaspoons of oil with half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of rosemary.
Rosemary and potatoes, they were meant to be together. Now I'm going to pour the mixture over the potatoes, and now just coat it all evenly. And here's a hint for you. You want to spread the potatoes out because you want to roast them. You don't want to steam them. By roasting the potatoes at a really high temperature, you get a nice crisp outside texture. They're nice and crunchy.
Roast them for about 25 to 30 minutes.
Oh, that rosemary smells great. These are really hot right now, so you might want to wait a few minutes before you put them out on the table. This is an incredibly simple recipe to make. Just potatoes, a little oil, salt, and rosemary.
Millicent and her kids liked making this recipe.
Dump it in. Okay. Okay. We're gonna put the potatoes in there. They'll at least try something, and then it's like afterwards, if you know they don't particularly care for it, I may wait and a couple of months later try it again. We got potatoes. Potatoes. No, you move back. You don't put anything in the oven. You step back. Now step back, babe. You ready for potatoes? Potatoes.
Our next recipe is scalloped potatoes.
I've already gotten out all of my ingredients. I'm going to use russet potatoes today, but for this recipe, you can really use any potato that you might get from the farmer's market. I'm going to preheat my oven to 375 and let that warm up.
First, I'll peel and slice 3 cups of potatoes.
In order to keep the potato steady, I first cut the potato in half horizontally. Slice the potato very thin. I have 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, and to that I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to stir those together. I'm going to take my prepared casserole dish, and I'm going to take half the potatoes, and I'm going to put them on the bottom of the dish.
Then add 1 cup of sliced onions. Take half of the herb mixture and sprinkle it over the onions and potatoes.
You can just place the rest of the potatoes on top of the mixture in the dish, or to make it look really pretty, you can layer the potatoes on top. This is a wonderful thing to have someone else help you with in the kitchen. It really looks like a picture from a magazine.
Pour in 1/2 cup of milk and then sprinkle on the rest of the herbs and 1/4 cup of grated cheese.
And just sprinkle it over the top.
Cover the casserole and put it into the hot oven for about 50 minutes.
Now I'm going to open up the oven and I'm going to remove the tin foil and then broil the scalloped potatoes for just a few minutes, just enough to get the cheese nice and bubbly. Look at those.
Some other ideas for potatoes are potatoes and soup, baked potato, and mashed potatoes. So get fresh fruits and vegetables at your farmer's market. You'll be able to taste the difference. You and your kids can get fresh fruits and vegetables at your nearest farmer's market. Try fresh broccoli.
When you buy broccoli, take the whole bunch, and you can use the whole bunch, the stalk and the top part. Later in the season, you might just find little stalks of broccoli. Those also are very good, and you can buy them individually that way as well. Perfect! This is $2 worth of the broccoli florets. It's already convenience food. Thank you very much. You don't even have to cut it up when you go home. Seems pretty good to me.
What is this?
Joy and her kids like fresh broccoli.
So you got to rinse all in here in case somebody stayed in there when they picked them. Somebody that we don't want to eat, like a little worm or something.
Yeah.
That's why we rinse them. Okay. What are you cleaning the broccoli?
Yeah.
Try it.
I'm going to make some food today using broccoli. I'm going to make a broccoli quesadilla and also a broccoli stir fry. The great thing about these recipes is that they're easy to make and they taste delicious. Broccoli stays fresh for up to a week as long as you seal it tightly in a plastic bag and put it in the refrigerator. I'm going to make broccoli stir fry.
You want to cook the rice, cut the vegetables, and get the sauce ready before you start to cook, since it'll all go together very quickly. The first thing to do is to dissolve a cube of bouillon in a cup of boiling water and let it cool.
You can use all of a piece of broccoli. All you need to do is to cut the bottom piece off, and then with a potato peeler, peel the stalk. There we go. 3 cups. I have a cup of onions. I'm going to cook these together. I'm going to put them on the side right now. I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. In order to have a really nice smooth sauce for your stir fry, it's important that you first dissolve the cornstarch in a small amount of the bouillon and then add that cornstarch mixture back to the larger cup of bouillon. If you happen to have some takeout packets from the last time that you had takeout Chinese, this is a great time to use them. I'm going to use a little bit of hot sauce, and I'm just going to squeeze it right in there, and 1 packet of duck sauce. And then I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Then I'm going to take some garlic powder. I'm going to take a half a teaspoon of it. I'm going to mix this all together. And now my oil is nice and hot. I'm going to add my onions. You'll find that the broccoli is going to turn a beautiful bright green. I'm going to take my sauce and stir it just to make sure that all those ingredients still get mixed together. Pour it into my broccoli. Take the stir fry and put it over a dish of hot rice. Broccoli stir fry is for dinner tonight.
Are you going to help me cut the broccoli, Crystal?
Albania made the broccoli stir fry for her kids, and they thought it was great.
It smells good.
You guys going to set the table for me also? Sometimes when you're introducing a new food, it's good for you to try to put it in a nice place that they like. Come and start getting it.
I smell something delicious.
Oh, good. Here, Caitlin. Jasmine, you gonna eat too? Yeah? This? Wow.
This tastes good.
Now, let's make the broccoli and black bean quesadilla. This recipe calls for cooked broccoli.
When you cook the broccoli, you want to put it into a pot of boiling water, and then allow the water to come back to a boil, and then I cook the broccoli for about another minute. Now, to keep that beautiful green color of the broccoli, drain the broccoli and then immediately put it under cold running water.
After I cook the broccoli, I'll get out everything else I'm going to need to make the broccoli and black bean quesadilla. I'll chop 1 cup of cooked broccoli. I'll drain 1/4 cup of salsa. Grate 1 cup of cheddar cheese, which, by the way, is a lot easier to grate when the cheese is cold. Then I mash the beans. The kids could help you do this part. Mix it all together.
And I'm going to put it on 1/2 of 1 tortilla, and then I'm going to fold it in half.
This recipe makes 4 large tortillas.
Just put a little bit of oil in here, just enough to coat the pan.
When the pan is hot, cook for about 3 to 4 minutes per side.
All right, we are done. If you want to keep the quesadillas warm, all you need to do is to put them in a 250-degree oven.
Some other ideas for using fresh broccoli are broccoli on pizza, broccoli in cornbread, and one of my favorites, broccoli in chili.
Fresh vegetables, that's the best thing for you. Look, my son is 14 months. He'll eat them broccoli and collard greens like he's going out of style. That's why my son is strong. He's not here with me today. I wish he was here. He's like a little He-Man.
Don't forget to get some squash at your farmer's market.
You put them in the microwave, you want to be sure to puncture them to let the steam out.
Okay.
Okay?
Bye-bye. Thank you.
There are a lot of different squashes at the farmer's market. This is an acorn squash. Here is a butternut squash. These squashes have very hard skins, so you can store them for several weeks at home. We've got some great recipes that we're going to make today. The first one is baked squash with sugar and spice. These recipes are easy to make. They taste terrific.
Come with the stuff.
And your kids can help. I've gotten all my ingredients together. Now I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. I took a baking sheet and I've covered it with tin foil. I'm going to spray that with a little bit of vegetable spray, and that will prevent the squash from sticking to the pan. Use a sharp knife to cut the squash. The skin is really hard. Scrape out all the seeds. Now, cut it into half-moon shapes, about a half-inch thick. Slightly salt the pieces of the squash. I've melted 2 tablespoons of margarine. Now I'll stir that into 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. You want to cover the squash pretty well so that none of the squash dries out. Put it into the hot oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Oh, these spices smell great. It's a hot pan, so I'm going to keep the pot holder right by it. I'm just going to take the tip of the spoon and I'm going to push it into the squash to see if the squash is nice and tender, and it is. Once the squash is cooled a little bit, this is a terrific finger food. Once people start smelling the squash, they're going to want to come in the kitchen and find out where that good smell is coming from. Baked squash with sugar and spice. This is one recipe that kids can really help with.
It's not dirty.
Ain't that dirty?
It's not dirty.
Give me something to wipe your hands off.
Millicent and her kids cooked squash together.
You want to help me put them on the tray? You going to help them, Mom? But I mean, as far as when it comes to quality and freshness and what you're feeding your family, it does make a difference going to the market. And it helps the farmers also, you know. You sit at the table? Say squash.
Wow.
That tastes good? Chew it. Good? Good? Yes? Yes?
Now, let's make our second recipe, Mediterranean squash stew. Let's start off with the butternut squash that I got at the farmer's market. And for this recipe, we're only going to need half. Cut it right in half again, much easier this time, and scrape it clean. Peel the outside of the butternut squash with a peeler. Cut the squash into 1/2 inch cubes. There you go. About 1/2 of a butternut squash will give you about 3 cups of cubed squash. Let's put together the sauce now. I have about 1 3/4 cups of diced tomatoes, and that equals 1 can of diced tomatoes. Add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice to it, and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Okay, that's 1 teaspoon of mustard, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to mix that all together. Now I'll heat 2 teaspoons of oil, add 1/2 cup of chopped onion, and 2 cloves of chopped garlic. Stir that for about 3 minutes. Keep stirring over medium-high heat, and don't let the garlic turn brown or it will taste bitter. Add my butternut squash to the mixture now.
and add my sauce. Put the lid on and keep it on a medium-high heat and let that cook for 15 minutes. Take this off the stove right now
And stir in 2 cups of chopped kale and 2 cups of cooked rice.
If this becomes a little bit dry, just add some water to it. And I'm going to put that back on the stovetop now with the lid on it and let that cook for another 5 minutes. And I believe this is ready. Look how beautiful that looks. And that's it. That's how you make a Mediterranean squash stew.
Some other ideas for squash are stuffed squash, mashed squash, and roasted squash with potatoes. Farmers markets have lots to choose from. Use your checks to try new foods. And don't forget, you can also use cash at the markets. You and your kids can get fresh fruits and vegetables at your nearest farmer's market. Use your coupons. Take the food home, and we'll show you how to prepare recipes that are easy, low cost, and healthy. It's summer at the farmer's market. There are so many delicious fruits and vegetables to choose from.
Thank you.
Fresh peaches from the market are a very special treat.
Today I'm going to make a peach cinnamon crisp and peachy pops. Some people don't like the fuzz on a peach. Never bothered me, but if you want to, it's easy to remove the fuzz. Just take the washed peach and gently rub it with a paper towel. I'm going to make a peach cinnamon crisp.
I'll get out everything I'll need to make the peach cinnamon crisp, and then I'll preheat my oven to 375 degrees.
Now I'm going to slice my peaches that I've already washed.
And this recipe takes about 4 cups of sliced peaches. That equals about 4 medium peaches. To make even slices, press the knife down till you hit the peach pit. Then push the knife away from you. Place the sliced peaches in a baking dish.
What is also good about this recipe is that you don't need to grease the pan. You can just throw the peaches in. I like to layer them, and I think the kids would enjoy layering them. They can make a design if they want. As long as the peaches are evenly distributed in the pan, it doesn't really matter how you put them in. And now I'm going to make the topping.
I'll mix together 3/4 of a cup of quick cooking oats, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. It's great to have a child help you mix this. Now, take 2 tablespoons of melted margarine and add that to the mixture. Spread the topping evenly over the peaches and put it in the preheated oven.
It's been 20 minutes. Oh, it smells great. There you go. Now I would let that sit for about 15-20 minutes because right now it's really hot. And there you have it. For a snack or a dessert, you've got peach cinnamon crisp. As easy as 1, 2, 3.
The Cinnamon Peach Crisp was a big hit with this Wick family cooking group.
4, 5.
Right. Dumping it and you're not bruising them.
Twice.
You know, in the summertime when it's hot and everybody wants something cool and refreshing, how does a frozen peachy pop sound?
Almost sherbety.
That's what we're going to make now with peaches from the farmer's market.
Wash and chop 2 peaches to get about 1.5 cups. For this recipe, you don't need to peel them. Distribute the chopped peaches into 6 paper cups. A child can help with this.
Now I'm going to mix the yogurt and the orange juice. Here's a tip for you.
Put the yogurt in a large bowl, then slowly pour in the orange juice, stirring the whole time. Evenly distribute the mixture among the 6 cups. Stand a spoon in each cup and tighten a piece of foil around it to hold the spoon up in the middle of the cup.
Remember, make sure there's room in the freezer before you have these done and you're carrying them to the freezer. I like to freeze the pops overnight, and then the next morning they're ready to eat any time of the day. This is the way that I like to remove the pop from the cup. I put the cup under hot running water. I keep the foil on the top of the cup just to make sure I don't give my peachy pop a bath. And hang on to the cup. It's great to eat the pop and have the cup just in case it starts to drip a little bit.
Some other ideas for using fresh peaches are peaches in your cereal. Make a peach parfait with yogurt and cereal. And how about blending bananas, milk, and peaches to make a refreshing smoothie?
That tastes like a peach, right?
Get fresh peaches at your farmer's market. They're the best.
This is a gorgeous bunch of kale. Kale is part of the cabbage family, and it's fondly referred to as the cabbage that never grew up because it doesn't get any kind of a ball like cabbage does. Oh boy, thanks.
You're very welcome. This is called a kale, kielbasa, and potato soup. This morning I had a success with this because a lot of kids came through and they said, "What is that?" And I didn't want to say greens. and I said, "It's kale." And they said, "Well, what's kale?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, just taste it. And then you tell me what does it taste like." And they said, "Yummy, it tastes good. And what is it?" And I said, "Well, it's greens." And they said, "Greens?" I said, "Yeah, it's greens."
Tastes delicious.
Today we're going to make a Portuguese kale soup and also a baked kale frittata.
I'm going to clean the kale under cold running water. You just want to shake the excess water off. Let's make some Portuguese kale soup. This is a wonderful soup when the chill in the air is just beginning in fall. I'm going to put the temperature to medium, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil to a large soup pot.
Then add 1 cup of chopped onion, a clove of garlic that's been chopped, and 1/2 cup of sliced carrot.
Stir it for about 10 minutes.
Now pour in 8 cups of water, add 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon hot pepper flakes.
Turn the heat up and cover the pot until that water comes to a boil. Oh, it's boiling all right. Let's add our 3 cups of peeled and cubed potatoes. Be careful when you put these in the soup because you don't want it to splatter. Cover the pot and let that boil for about 10 minutes. While that's boiling, I'm going to prepare my kale. And now a good fast way to chop this kale is just to pile the leaves on top of each other and then roll the kale, just like that. And now you can easily just chop the kale. Turn it, and then just chop it again. I'm going to want about 4 cups of chopped kale for this recipe. I've used a 1/4 pound of low-fat turkey kielbasa. It adds a really wonderful flavor to the soup. Cook this for another 5 minutes. It's a very colorful fall soup. Portuguese kale soup.
Let's make the baked kale frittata. The first thing I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 375 degrees. Spray your pie pan with vegetable spray to prevent the frittata from sticking. I need about 3 cups of chopped kale. Put that aside. Put the burner on medium-high and let that heat up for a moment. Add 2 teaspoons of oil, 1 and 2. When the oil is hot, add 1 cup of chopped onions. Stir until the onions are nice and brown. Now, add the chopped kale and a 1/4 cup of water. This will help cook the kale. Cover the pot and let it cook for about 5 minutes. While the kale is cooking, mix together 6 eggs, a 1/2 cup skim milk, 1/2 cup grated low-fat cheddar cheese, a 1/2 teaspoon salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon pepper. The kids can help you with measuring and stirring. By now, my kale should be ready.
Let that cool for just a few minutes before I add it to the egg mixture. Put the frittata into the hot 375-degree oven for 20 minutes.
Oh, that looks great. There it is. We'll let that sit for just a few minutes, and then I'll serve it in wedge-shaped pieces. Michelle and her mother brought fresh kale home from their farmer's market.
We have it all the time, especially with when we make pasta, spaghetti. We saute it with garlic and a little wine and cayenne pepper.
They baked the kale frittata in a cast iron skillet.
Sí, porque qué linda.
Nice. Look at this. Qué bien quedó.
That's beautiful. Sí, ahí está.
Some other ideas for using fresh kale are sautéed kale, kale and pasta, and add kale to stir fry. Next time you visit the farmer's market, look for fresh kale. It's a great value. Look for fresh carrots at your farmer's market. You may find them with or without their leafy tops. Choose carrots that are bright orange, firm, and smooth.
I'm going to take carrots that we got from the farmer's market.
And I'll make carrot spice muffins and carrot confetti salad. carrot confetti salad is tasty and easy to make.
I'm going to peel 3 carrots, and that should give me about 2 cups of grated carrots. To get the last bit of the carrot grated, just put the carrot in the palm of your hand like so, and then just press down so that your fingertips are away from the grater.
That's 2 cups. Now add 1 cup grated red cabbage. You could use green cabbage, but red is much more colorful. Use a small bowl to mix the dressing. Measure 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of mustard, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and just a dash of pepper to give it more flavor. Mix the dressing with the salad. And there you have it, carrot confetti salad. Tastes good and it's good for you. The kids helped to make and eat carrot confetti salad at a Wick family cooking class.
And then everything just gets mixed together.
Here's everything I'll need to make carrot spice muffins. First, I'll preheat the oven to 350 degrees. I just lightly spray the tin. If you're using a non-stick tin, that's all you need to do. Otherwise, it's a good idea to lightly flour the muffin tin. And then I tap out the extra flour, just like that. Put that aside. Peel and grate 2 carrots, or enough for about 1.5 cups. In a large bowl, beat 2 eggs. Mix in 1/2 cup of applesauce, 2/3 cup of sugar, and blend it all together.
Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And here's a hint for you. When you measure vanilla, don't do it right over your bowl, just in case the bottle of vanilla slips and suddenly you've overpoured too much vanilla in a bowl. I've done it. Add 2 tablespoons of oil. In a small bowl, I'm going to mix together my dry ingredients. I have 1 cup of flour, 1 level teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I use 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. This has a wonderful spice flavor in the carrot spice muffins. Slowly add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. If you add too much of the dry ingredient at once, the dry ingredients sometimes fly out of the bowl and you're covered with flour, and you can also get little clumps of flour sticking together.
Last, add 1/2 cup of raisins and the grated carrots. Stir the mixture until it's well blended. Now, scoop up the batter with 1 spoon. Use a 2nd spoon to scrape it into the muffin tins so they're about half full.
Do not let your children eat the raw batter. As good as it might look, it's really not a good thing for anybody to eat raw eggs, and that is what's in the batter. I'm going to bake them for 25 minutes.
Let the muffins cool in the tin for just a few minutes. Then take them out of the tin and let them cool for a few more minutes. Before you know it, these muffins will be gone. But if you want to bake extra, they also freeze well. Some other ideas for using fresh carrots are carrots in soup, carrots in salad, and you can snack on carrot sticks anytime. You can try new carrot recipes at your farmer's market. It is the place to find delicious fruits and vegetables. Use your coupons to buy old favorites or to try something new.
When you buy cabbage, you want to get a cabbage that has a nice tight head to it. And also, if you look at the bottom, you can see that this has been freshly cut because it's still nice and white, right from the farm. Today I'm going to make Thai cabbage noodles and also hot pot cabbage and meatballs.
For the hot pot cabbage and meatballs, I'll make the meatballs first.
I'll preheat my oven to 400 degrees. I have a ½ pound of ground lean beef. You can also use ground turkey if you'd like. 1/4 cup of minced onion. A ½ cup of dried breadcrumbs. 1 egg. 1/4 cup of skim milk, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and a dash of pepper.
Mix everything together.
This recipe makes about 8 to 10 meatballs, depending upon the size. Before I put them in the oven, I'm going to wash my utensils and wash my hands before I do anything else to make sure that I wash everything that's been in contact with raw meat. And in 20 minutes, my meatballs will be ready.
While they cook, I'll start making my hot pot cabbage. First, I'll cut, core, and shred the cabbage. Take the core out of the cabbage. Slice it thinly and set aside 4 cups of shredded cabbage. Heat 2 teaspoons of oil. Then stir in 2 cloves of minced garlic.
And a ½ cup of chopped onions. And I'm going to stir that just until the garlic and the onion get a little soft.
Then add 1/2 cup water,
a ½ cup of vinegar, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 can of diced tomatoes, 1 teaspoon of prepared mustard. This hot pot cabbage has a wonderful sweet sour flavor, but just to give it a little kick, I add a bit of hot sauce to it.
To finish it off, add 1/2 teaspoon salt and a ½ teaspoon of pepper. To finish off the sauce, raise the temperature to high and bring the mixture to a boil. Add the cabbage and stir it in. Cook it for only about 5 minutes. Grab the meatballs out of the oven.
And there you have it, hot pot cabbage and meatballs.
Michelle and her kids made this recipe together.
Here, you put that in here for Mommy, okay? They basically eat everything without a problem. I just give them, from when they're babies, I give them a variety of things to eat, and then Elijah, you know, you can start making the cabbage part. Shall we try this? Yeah. Come on.
Now let's make Thai cabbage noodles. This is easy because you can cook everything in one pot. I've already cooked and drained the spaghetti. I'll use the same pot to make the sauce.
I'm going to turn the heat on to medium-high, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of orange juice, a 1/4 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of vinegar, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a 1/4 cup of peanut butter, 1 teaspoon of ginger. You can add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon hot red pepper flakes, depending upon how spicy you like the dish to be. Remember, you've added sugar to the dish already, so there'll be a nice balance of spice and sweetness.
Mix this till it comes to a boil. Then lower the heat and add the shredded cabbage.
Let this cook 5-10 minutes, just until the cabbage has softened.
Add the drained spaghetti.
Mix that all together, just so that everything gets nice and blended. This dish is delicious served hot or cold. And there you have it, Thai cabbage noodles.
Try cabbage and stir fry. Put raw cabbage in salad. And cabbage in soup. Check out your farmer's market for great tasting fruits and vegetables. Your family will be glad you did.